working on getting Barbara Loe Fisher on the horn. One of my producers is out today, and it's a wrong number down here. But we'll work on getting her on from the National Vaccine Information Center, one of the founders of that, because they were there and followed the case at this whitewash vaccine damage court that the feds have, and just study after study, government studies, universities, the vaccines, cancer viruses, mercury, killing people, giving them cancer, just thousands and thousands of studies coming out every year, just devastating people. And government documents getting leaked and congressional hearings, but it's really never on the news. So they come out and say, oh, one doctor says that he faked evidence that vaccines caused autism, and that was the only study to ever say it, and it's all disproven now. Folks, then they try to say people are over-reporting and over-diagnosing autism-type disorders. Well, you know, that's funny. People known, one subgroup of autistic folks are known as idiot savants. That's the term used. No insult to autistic children. That's the term, idiot savant. I'm sure a lot of you have seen, what's the film with Rain Man, where he's the card counter and he's the idiot savant. And I mean, there's really people who can do that. You can say, what's 867,297,000 combined with this algorithm of a 284 trillion, Googleplexes, and they can basically tell you the answer to the mathematical equation. But they can't tie their shoelaces. They can't do anything. Idiot savants were 1 in 10 million. I mean, they were incredibly rare, and autistic, it was 1 in a million, then it was 1 in 26,000, and now it was 1 in 168, and then it was now 1 in 87, and they have whole wings of schools with the autistic children now, and you take your children to see a movie. I've done it a few times, and they'll have whole rows of the autistic children. And all these poor mothers there that were good mommies and gave them all the shots, and you talk to these mothers, and you say, when did this happen? When did this first unfold? And they say, 18 months. And these will be mothers who don't even know about vaccines and autism. They're like, oh, he was 18 months, or she was 18 months. We gave him his third round of shots, and then it happened. You'll need to communicate with John if she's there, because I don't know. No one's letting me know. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So all of this goes on. All of this happens. And it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And there's so many other, situations now where government allows industry to do this, and it's by design. It's eugenics. I mean, I get up on air and I tell people half of corn syrup products have high levels of mercury. Now that's just a tested fact by independent industry and the government. In fact, Google that, folks. Mercury corn syrup, because people still email me, don't believe this. Just Google and then hit news, mercury in corn syrup, and I want to show the Washington Post headline. And now they just said, you know what? Mercury isn't bad for you anymore. And I have the newscast. I've played it many times. Not going to play it again. You can just Google, news says mercury's good for you. It turns out that 90+%, I want to Google this next, just show the news article, 90+% of infant formula has melamine, deadly plastic, attacks all the organs, the kidneys. They just used to say it was bad. People are dying all over the place from it. They just say, no, it's good for you now. Bayer shipped out over 1 million ampules of Factor VIII filled with HIV and hepatitis knowingly, came out in their own documents and lawsuits. Nobody gets in trouble. It's just, hey, HIV is good for you. Hepatitis is good for you. Millions and millions and millions have died, the government admits, from the simian virus 40 alone. And there's all these other viruses. You heard last hour about leukemia viruses in your shots. Or all the government studies about how you have a massive increase in Alzheimer's if you take the shots. We do have our guest on with us, and I appreciate Barbara Loe Fisher, one of the founders of the nonprofit National Vaccine Information Center, on with us, and she's been tracking the propaganda, the disinfo being put out by the government's own court, bought and paid for by the vaccine makers. and so she joins us now for the balance of the hour, and we'll open the phones up later in the hour 4. Barbara, great to have you here with us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, break down the latest. I know HPV is killing folks and maiming them, and others telling us that autism isn't caused by vaccines now with this latest federal court ruling. Break down what's most important for folks to know right now.
My goodness, there's so much going on just in the past 3 weeks. Yes, we issued a press release several weeks ago that was it was a special report that was carried on CBS regarding Gardasil vaccine, HPV vaccine, that was licensed in 2006 after being fast-tracked. The FDA allowed Merck to fast-track that vaccine, unfortunately, because it's killing and brain injuring and causing immune system problems, really serious problems for a lot of girls. And what's really tragic, a lot of these girls are very healthy, high-functioning, straight-A students, athletes, gymnasts, cheerleaders, very, very healthy girls who are getting one or more shots of Gardasil and are dying within days or weeks of this vaccination, are being left with seizure disorders that can't be controlled with medication, rheumatoid arthritis symptoms. They will collapse. Their blood pressure will drop and they will collapse. There's inflammation of the heart, inflammation of the brain, inflammation of different organs in the body. It's really serious. And if you go onto our website at www.nvic.org, you can search the MedAlerts database, which we have provided the data that from the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, where you can go on and you can search, and if you just click on HPV4 and search the fields, you can read the reports that are being made to the government, which the government has dismissed as being all a coincidence. In October, the government issued a report saying all of these girls who are dying and who are being brain injured, it's all a coincidence. It has nothing to do with Gardasil vaccine. And we issued a report, as I said several weeks ago. What we did is we went in and we looked and compared Gardasil vaccine reactions, adverse event reports, to the Federal Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System with another vaccine that is also used in the same age group, that is 11 to 12-year-old children. And that vaccine is called Menactra. It's a vaccine for meningococcal. And the difference between the two vaccines is that the meningococcal vaccine, Menactra, is given to both boys and girls, whereas Gardasil is only given to girls. And what we found was a 3 to 30 times more reports of serious health problems and deaths after Gardasil than after Menactra vaccine. And, we're talking twice as many emergency room visits. We're talking 7 times the reports for the field disabled or did not recover. It was clear that you had 2 vaccines, and if the vaccines were equally reactive, if it was all a coincidence, you would have actually had a higher incidence in the Menactra group. Why? Because Menactra is only given once. It's given singly, and it's given to boys and girls. You have about 16 million doses of that vaccine that have been given as of about the middle of last year, and 15 million doses of Gardasil. Gardasil is given 3 times. So you really should have, if everything was the same, you should have had more reaction reports after Menactra. So clearly, we've got a problem with Gardasil. And I think that it's really important for anybody out there who is even considering having their daughter vaccinated with this vaccine. They've got to do their own research before they take that child in.
Well, I just want to add that I just noticed with exact headlines from articles we've written and linked to that there's some type of Google block right now on separate issue. I was just looking for it, melamine in 90% of baby formula. That was a Washington Post headline. It's not even available on news or web. They are scrubbing. Have you run into this?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I did. There was someone who said to me the other day that she had gone in and she was actually researching hepatitis B vaccine, and that reports that she'd been able to get on that vaccine prior were no longer on. I think this was the Google search engine, but she found them on other search engines, and I don't know whether there is this whitewashing going on.
There definitely is. I put the exact headline in, and it's not there. This is getting sick. You know, I want to get into the facts and the data with you when we come back, but right now, Barbara, I want to understand, how do they think they're going to get away with all of this? I mean, not just the vaccines, but mercury in half of the corn syrup, 90+% of the baby formula, melamine. And before, it's a scientific fact it's killing people. Now they just say, no, it's good. I mean, it's almost like mass mental illness has happened.
Well, you know, I mean, certainly we have absolutely do not have enough regulation of the toxins which are being put into our environment by the chemical companies, by pharmaceutical companies, by many different companies that are producing these products that are toxic.